Hey guys, my name's Devi and welcome to the first video of Digital Math Lot. Today we're going to do equation solving, but before we start I just want to say everyone from Lot misses you. We hope that you're safe, that your friends and family are safe, and that you're healthy. And we really hope to see you soon, and we know we will. So don't worry, we're still going to teach you math. And yeah, let's just get started. There are a few key things to remember when you're solving equations. The first thing is to isolate the variable, or try to get the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. If you don't know what a variable is, it's an unknown value that's represented with a symbol or a letter, like X, Y, Z, ABC, anything. The second thing to remember is whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. For example, if you're adding on one side, you have to add to the other. You can't multiply or subtract on the other. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. So we're going to talk about a few properties of equality. The addition property of equality is basically whatever you add to one side, you have to add to the other side. That means that they have to be the same value. So if you're adding 3 to one side of the equation, you have to add 3 to the other side. The multiplication property is whatever you multiply to one side, you have to multiply to the other. Same thing. If you multiply 3 to one side, you multiply 3 to the other. You can't change the values. The same thing can be done with subtraction or division, but usually we don't really give it a name, but it's like a rule of thumb. So before we look into the properties of equality, I think it's important for you guys to have the actual worksheet in front of you. Either you print it out, you have it on a different tab opened up with this video, or you copy it down on paper, whichever you prefer. But moving on from here, a lot of the problems that we're going to do are actually from the worksheet, so you guys could do it with us. You can take notes, with whatever you prefer, but pause me here, and we're going to keep going with the lesson. So now we're going to use the addition property of equality, which, like I said, is whatever you add to one side of the equation, we add to the other side of the equation. And like I said before, you can do the same thing with subtraction. N minus 7 is equal to 17. Using the addition property, we can add 7 to both sides and isolate n, the variable. When we do that, we get n is equal to 24. When we're using the addition property of equality, or we're trying to add or subtract on both sides of the equation, remember that we can only do that with like terms. Like terms are terms that have the same variable. X divided by 3 is equal to 5. We can use the multiplication property to cancel out the denominator. So let's take a look at this. X divided by 3 is equal to 5. Then over here we have 3 times x divided by 3 is equal to 5 times 3. This cancels out the denominator and we get x is equal to 15. Remember to multiply both sides by the same number, otherwise all that work for nothing. How do we solve 4x is equal to 32? Our first way is to divide both sides by the same number. We have 4x is equal to 32. We divide both sides by 4 and we get x is equal to 8. Another way to approach these kind of problems is to multiply by the reciprocal of the coefficient. That's a lot of words, but we're going to take it one by one. The coefficient is the number that's multiplying a term or a variable. So in this example, the coefficient was 4 because 4 was multiplying the variable x. Let's go back. A reciprocal is a fraction that's been flipped upside down. So the denominator becomes the numerator and the numerator becomes the denominator. So the reciprocal of 4, which was our coefficient from the last problem, is 1 over 4 because you can represent 4 as 4 divided by 1. And whenever you multiply a number by its reciprocal, the product is always 1. So if we multiplied 4 by 1 over 4, we'd get 1. Now we're going to use that approach to this problem. Let's see the work. Our first step is to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. We have 4x is equal to 32. We multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. And we do that over here. And on the left side, that equals 1, because when you multiply a coefficient by its reciprocal, it always equals 1. And on the right side, we have 32 times 1/4. Whenever you multiply a whole number into a fraction, the first step is to multiply the whole number to the numerator. So we have 32 times 1, 32, and then you divide it by the denominator. So right now we have x is equal to 32 divided by 4. We simplify that and divide by the denominator, and we get x is equal to 8. So now let's take a look at 3 over 2y is equal to 15. Our first step is to multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 3 over 2 is 2 over 3 because we just flip it around. And we do that over here. We multiply both sides by 2 over 3, and on the left side that cancels out and we get the coefficient as 1. On the right side, we multiply 15 to 2/3. And remember, when we do that, we multiply the whole number by the numerator, so we have 15 times 2 is equal to 30. Then we divide by the denominator. And then we simplify the fraction. So right now we have y is equal to 30 divided by 3. When we simplify that, we get y is equal to 10. Now we're going to look at more complex equations because they're going to combine a bunch of properties, but it won't really be that hard. Trust me, we got this. And so we have 3z plus 4 is equal to 10. Our first step is to subtract 4 on both sides. And we do that over here. And we're left with 3z is equal to 6. Then we divide both sides by 3. So we have 3z divided by 3, that's z. And then we have 6 divided by 3, 2. So what does z equal? 2. Let's try 2d minus 1 is equal to 5. Our first step is to use the addition property of equality. We're going to add 1 to both sides of the equation. We do that over there. And we have 2d is equal to 6. Then we divide both sides by 2. We have 2d divided by 2, d, equals to 6 divided by 2, 3. So d is equal to 3. What if there's a variable on both sides of the equation? So here's an example. 5j is equal to 8 minus 3j. Our first step is to use the addition property of equality. We're going to add 3j to both sides. We do that over there. And then we have 8j is equal to 8. Then we divide both sides by 8. We have 8j divided by 8 is j. And 8 divided by 8 is 1. So we have j is equal to 1. Another example of the variable being on both sides of the equation is 9w is equal to 7w plus 12. Our first step is to get all the like terms of the variable on one side of the equal sign by subtracting. So here's the work. We're going to subtract 7w on both sides. That's over there. And we have 2w is equal to 12. Now we're going to divide both sides by 2. 2w divided by 2 is w. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. So w is equal to 6. 2w plus 3w is equal to 10. In this case, our first step is to combine like terms. Then our second step would to be divide. So here's the work. 2w plus 3w is equal to 10. Our first step is to combine like terms, so we do that, and we get 5w is equal to 10. Then we divide both sides of the equation by 5. That's over here. And we have 5w divided by 5 is equal to 10 divided by 5. When we simplify that, we get w is equal to 2. So here's another example of manipulating an equation. 3 times x minus 5 is equal to 15. We can use distribution and distribute 3 to everything in the parentheses. We get 3x minus 15 is equal to 15. Then, we use the addition property and add 15 to both sides. Then we get 3x is equal to 30. We divide 3 on both sides, and we get x is equal to 10. Now we're going to do an even harder problem. Solve for x. 1/4 times x plus 2 is equal to 3. Our first step is to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So here's the work. And the reciprocal of 1/4 is 4 over 1, or 4. And on the left side, that cancels out and we get 1. And on the right side, we have 3 times 4, which is 12. So we have x plus 2 is equal to 12. The next step is to get the variable on its own, or isolate it, by using subtraction. We subtract 2 on both sides, and we get x is equal to 10. Our last problem for today is 2/3 times y plus 3 is equal to 4. So the first step is multiply by the reciprocal. We do that over here. So we multiply each side by 3 over 2 because that's the reciprocal. When we flip 2 over 3 around, we get 3 over 2. And on the left side that cancels out, we get 1. On the right side, we have 4 times 3 over 2. Remember, we multiply the whole number by the numerator, so 4 times 3, 12. And then we divide that by the denominator. So we have y plus 3 is equal to 12 over 2. Or y plus 3 is equal to 6. Then we subtract both sides by 3. And that isolates y, so we get y is equal to 3. And that's the end of this video. I hope this video wasn't too rushed or too long and hard to follow. So if you have any suggestions or if you have any questions about the worksheet, the video, or anything even about ELA, just email this account and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I think I'm done here. I hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home, and I'm just gonna stop talking. And yeah.